that is actually the reason that destroyed Street Kingz.
Wow.
Us buying that building, the black Christian churches, the black well-to-do people in the neighborhood, they wanted that building. It's prime real estate. So even the people at 89.9 wanted our building. And so they used the fact that we had a lot of street shit going on. You know, when you come from where we come from.
It ain't that I can't stop, it's that I won't stop. I made a few plays off a flip, now I'm on top. I'm Southside Chief, homie. Yeah. What you know about it? Lake Street legend CEO, not the co-founder. What you wanna know about me? I'm so churched up, I'm the last man standing, but I went first up. Most hated, they don't say it when I roll up. The things that people say about me, they don't say close up. Check it.
All right, we're rocking. Another episode of Minnesota's #1 daily show live on Lake Street. Special guest. Man, I feel like it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
And honestly, like since I've found out who you were in the media space, I've been looking at you like that's somebody I want to talk to.
And vice versa.
But it's got to be the right time. So with that being said, Simba Ali in the building.
Yeah, man. I'm
and
here.
I know a lot of other people want to see the conversation happen too.
Yeah. I'm one of them shit talking motherfuckers. I've always been. So they like, he's a live wire. You know, when we see him, he's a very energetic, charismatic dude. So
for sure. And you got a long history, not just in media, but in music and just Minnesota in general.
Yeah.
You've been ingrained and gone through controversy, ups and downs, all kinds of, ins and outs, all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
So I want to lead with this because you're the only person I'm going to talk to about this going forward.
Okay.
This conversation is not happening with anybody else.
All right.
Because I don't want to put the light on the guy whose name I'm not going to say any more than it already has been. But
Let's go.
One of the reasons that this is happening right now, like you said, like I said, timing is everything, is because of your disdain for the conversation I had with the gentleman recently about the best media sources in Minnesota.
Right.
And like I said just a minute ago off the mic, I want to make sure Georgia Fort gets her flowers because he mentioned Georgia Fort. Georgia Fort is incredible, but it's kind of like when we talk about like the best rappers in Minnesota. I don't like to mention like the Profs and the Gravies because I feel like they've already ascended to a level beyond what we're trying to do. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
They're already there. We're trying to get not white rappers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. There's no other way to say it. Like,
Yeah. But even them, I feel like they're not even there.
They're not there, but they're somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can.
Next level. They're a level up.
They're a level up.
Yeah,
right.
they're a level up.
They're a level up. They're in a bit of a different category, and it's the reason that I don't personally like to highlight them as the best.
Right.
And I don't think they're the best.
Yeah.
That's another part of this too is, and I made a post about it, I don't necessarily know if we're number one or who's number two or who's number three. I feel like I'm the best.
There you go.
I feel like I am the best. So regardless of where I'm at, I don't feel like anybody's better than me at what I do.
Talk your shit, Jake.
That's really how I feel. And
Right.
I don't, and people take that as disrespect towards them, but I don't think there's a better interviewer than me.
I think it's a disrespect to yourself if you don't feel like that,
you're supposed
and
to
you
feel
do what
like
we
that,
do.
right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to feel like I'm the one. You know, I recognize and respect the other cats out there doing their thing, but I'm not going to put anybody above me. Oh, he's better than me. Nah.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I don't, and I feel like this is my job.
Mm-hmm.
This is my career. This is
And
my
you do a
passion.
great job at this. You know, even with everybody saying it, even me, sometimes it's a competition thing. You know, you always want to, you know, when you come up, how we come up in hip hop, everything is competition. When you play sports outside, it's competition. Nobody goes out and says, yeah, he's better than me. Even if he is, show me on the court.
Yeah.
So I know you get a little bit of heat from two different sides. You get just flat out plain heat, flat out plain hate.
Yep.
And then you get the guys who just might have constructive criticism like, oh, I don't maybe not like this about what he does. But just to say, if you're going to deny Jake Faircloth and you're going to deny Live on Lake Street, that's just hate.
Yeah. There's also a very large portion of people that only know me from this and don't realize that I had a whole other platform where we did 240 episodes. You might be one of them. Did you know that?
No, I know. Is that was that Waterwave?
The Wiseman Show.
The Wiseman Show. Yeah, the Wiseman. Yeah.
So I did previous to this, I did 240 interviews and episodes already.
Right.
So, and I know that a lot of people don't know that. I learned that early on doing Live on Lake Street. People would be like, who the fuck is this guy? And why does he get to just plant his flag? It's like, I'm not new here, bro. I'm not new. I've been doing this.
Discredit the grind. They discredit in the grind.
And so people are like, you don't need to explain yourself. It's like, no, sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do need to explain, like, just so people know, like, I have a pedigree. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not just coming up like, hey, this is what I do now. Respect me and care about me. Like, no, it ain't all that. But anyway, so you made a post saying basically, like, how the fuck are we gonna not talk about you, not mention you?
Right.
So, what was your? I assume you watched the interview.
I did.
The madness, the craziness.
Yeah,
Yep.
I did.
And so when you didn't hear yourself named,
Heartbroken.
really?
Yeah, heartbroken.
Hmm.
And then I got my feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everybody. See, the thing about me is I don't deny when I go through situations. I say on my podcast, listen, you guys, I'm about to hate for a second.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to disguise this off as some analytic opinion. Listen, I'm finna hate on Jake Faircloth for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yep.
finna hate on this person for a couple seconds. So you know that it's rooted in hate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just more about the content and me getting my shit off rather than really trying to say this dude doesn't do what he do. So, but yeah, when I heard you guys name off the podcast and I didn't hear my name on there, I was like, what the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What the fuck? How they gonna
And
forget
it was
about
mainly
me?
on me because I was hating on him.
Right.
To his
And
face.
and y'all had your own personal thing
Yeah.
that you were going
Yeah.
off, so it wasn't really, but and not necessarily just you, just the fact that sometimes you just feel like, am I doing enough? Do they not see me? Do they not recognize? You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's that you're not doing enough, but I don't see you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder why. Like, I wonder, because, you say, like, you got all these interviews and you do a lot, but you're not at the top of my timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, even when I told you, I found out that, I'll say on the camera, I found out that our sons are friends with each other,
Right.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
And a crazy connection. I did go to seek you out to let you know, like, hey, look, our boys are friends. I didn't know this. And you
Mhm.
weren't there. So I do feel like sometimes, I don't know if it's that are you inconsistent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes
incons-
I have these spurts of inconsistency because I start doing so many things.
Yeah.
Like I'll do podcasting for a while and then I'll do a food show. Then I'm focused on the food show. Then I'll do clothing lines. You know what I'm saying? So the different things that I'm trying to build as far as my portfolio sometimes takes away from the content. And also my podcast is a little bit different because I don't really rely on guests. Like my podcasts are just me really talking about different subjects. That's the base of my
Which is
podcast.
a tough thing to do.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a tough. And that's another reason why I was like, damn, when I started searching, I'm like, I'm one of the only podcasters that does that doesn't
solo content.
solo content and just kind of go from sports to hip hop to these kind of things. So, but yeah, it does. There is a little bit of inconsistency, but I feel like there also is a little bit of my perception, and a lot of people that know who I am that might come on your show or be around you or in the same circle as you might not want to say my name because I'm such a controversial person. Like when the George Floyd thing happened, I was one of the first people out there saying, well, actually I went to the marches first because naturally as a black person, when he died, I'm out there marching with the people. But then when I seen what it started to develop into a political tool, then I started to say, man, I don't give a fuck about, can you cuss on this podcast?
Yes.
Okay, I was like, I don't give a fuck about George Floyd, and neither does anybody else. We're all these people talking about they care about George Floyd. I got junkies in my family. You got junkies in your family.
Yeah.
We're watching them struggle on a day-to-day basis, and we call them junkies. But then when they pass away, we're going to let Democrats use this as a tool to kind of make headway into our communities. Let's not do that.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that take either, to be honest with you. And I say that a lot. Chief and I have conversations off mic a lot about fake outrage.
Yeah.
And I do, like, I have a soft spot in my heart for what happened to George. It was terrible.
As a human.
He was murdered. Like, we watched it happen. It was terrible.
Right.
And I also understand the calling him a hero. I get that. And it wasn't like hero the way we think of hero, but he definitely opened up a conversation and a dialogue in the way that it hasn't been. It probably has been before, but it seemed to have not happened in a long time. It was like revisiting like some shit that's been an issue for a very long time, right? And we saw, I mean, maybe you feel differently. I think what happened as a result is something that needed to happen.
I guess, me living in Minnesota and me being from Minnesota, I know the temperament of the city. And I know how high race relations is on the docket here in Minnesota, as far as caring about black communities, as far as caring about what black people are really going through. So when I seen all the
when you say how high it is, you mean how it's low?
It's low. They don't.
Yeah.
This is one of the most racist states.
It is.
It's a subtle racism.
It's
passive racism. Yes. That's what it is. And so me growing up in that, when I seen all these people out, I'm like, wait a second, we have issues that if you guys want to be a part of our community and deal with the true things that's going on in our communities, mainly like regentrification of North Minneapolis and how gang murders are used to drive down the property and then they can move in and kind of get inside of our neighborhoods. These are the things. There's real issues that are going on in the black community. What happened to George Floyd isn't that serious of an issue as far as when it comes to our community as a people. I think that George Floyd's family, I think that the people that love George Floyd should have did what they had to do, hire Ben Crump and make sure that the people pay. But when I'm seeing everybody going, like, I couldn't even drive. They made a whole thing over this thing. And I'm like, over this person? But yet and still, my son does not know about Malcolm X. You see what I'm saying? They won't talk. So it's like, why do you hide and pick? So you'll put this person who was a drug addict, broke into a woman's house and held her at gunpoint with a pregnant belly, and all of these different kind of things will paint him as this hero. Let's find the real heroes. We have real live heroes in our community who are doing things like the brothers from Mad Dads. Every time somebody gets shot, gang violence, I see that brother with that leather pelly pale jacket showing up from Mad Dads. I mean, we have people out here that are actually doing things that need to be recognized because they're trying to put in the work. We made a martyr. They got statues to this guy. And it's like, where's that coming from, especially from Minnesota? Where's all this coming from? Is it just for George Floyd, or is it to the brother that's sitting behind you? Is it to the little black kid right there? Is it to the black community from these communities? Like when you drive through South Minneapolis, you see Black Lives Matter on all these houses. And I'm like, wow, I wonder how would you guys feel about reparations towards African Americans? And that's another thing that I started to find out as I started to talk to more and more white people. I'm like, you're still racist. You're using this George Floyd thing to kind of wash your hands and say, see, I care about George Floyd, so, I'm not racist. Come on.
Definitely
what do you feel about reparations? Well, that's kind of funny that you don't want to help black people as a whole, as a collective, but you'll focus your energy on a social media individual for clicks and your Instagram. And so just me calling out that is kind of the things, and then being a Trump supporter. If you look at the things that go along with me, I could see that people be like, not right now, especially Minnesota being the hotbed of political awareness since George Floyd. It's like the eye is on Minnesota more than ever. Like we won a fucking Super Bowl or something. Like Minnesota was hot. So during that time, I felt like, which was one of our hottest times, I felt like people were like, if you know Simba, put him to the side. He doesn't speak how we want a black person to speak. We want black people to blindly care and live in a neighborhood where they have to lay on the floor because of gun violence. And then that one time when the police officer does something, man, we can't do anything. It's like it's not, bro. It's not. Stop it, you guys. I'm traveling through North Minneapolis. You think that I'm worried about police officers? You, as a person not breaking the law. Now, if you're breaking the law, you probably need to worry about police officers. But just as a black man, do you think that I'm walking around worrying about police officers? I don't fear the police. I fear what another black man is going to do to me, maybe out of mistaken identity. Am I in the right neighborhood? Is one of my friends an op to his? Like this murder. And look how many rappers we've lost. That's what's so crazy. I mean, George Floyd died. We had those little police couple shootings, and which we now see that Russia, having its hand on our media input and output, was kind of fueling a lot of that. Like if you look at what seriously happened, it wasn't a lot of police shootings. It really wasn't. Not as many as it was rappers dying. Not as many as it was ops and gang members shooting back and forth. The East Side, the GDs, the BDs, the Crips, the Bloods, the 20s Crips. These are wars that are going on daily. You guys are waiting for like this police shooting to come along to get active. And that's what bothered me, knowing that gang violence, black on black murder, not crime, black on black murder is the #1 issue in our community. Mothers are burying sons. Rappers are, we lost Tupac and Biggie, and that was like, oh my God, how? Man, Nipsey, Biggie, we lost 10 rappers, man.
Yeah, more than that.
And that's what's funny is like for me, when I seen what happened with George Floyd, I kind of shrugged my shoulder and was like, that happens. And everybody didn't like that. But then when a P&B Rock gets killed, or a Takeoff gets killed, or a XXXTentacion gets killed, or these people get killed, people just go, oh, that's a shame. You can shrug your shoulders. That's a shame for gang violence. But then when the police do it, they get all upset. They get all hysterical. And what I started to learn was that we have a higher expectation of police than we do of our own selves in our communities.
Well, so you bring up a lot of what you're saying is valid. And you present it in a way that logically makes a lot of sense to me. The one thing that I will say is we should hold police to a higher standard.
You should, as a white person. Me, as a person that comes from a community of color where the police never dictated how we treated each other. Mm-hmm. The police don't get to tell me to love Chief.
Yeah.
He's black. Mm-hmm. His mama, he has a slave last name. We have a bond just like Jewish people. Yeah. When you see Jewish people bonding, this goes back to the Holocaust. Yeah. You know, if you ain't talking about this, you don't know. And our pain binds us.
I've learned more about that than I would have thought I ever would in the past 6 months or so.
So you can't tell a Jewish person to hold a German police officer to a higher expectation than another Jewish person does another Jewish person. We know he's German. Yeah. We know our history with them. So why? Well, they're police officers. Come on, you guys. Let's be real. We know the KKK's got traded in for badges. Let's not say these sayings on rap records and on posts and then take them away in real life. So that's what I mean. A Jewish person would never look at a German police officer and say, yes, you're going to treat me better than my Jewish brother right here next door to me will. So that's where I say our history as black people in America, normally it would be right. Normally, you should hold the police officers to a higher standard than you would your citizens, but not when it comes to us and our shared tragedy. There's no way that we cannot look out for each other because we have this shared pain and we know our history. We know with the police officers, they're slave catchers. That's how they got formed, because of us. Right. Come on, guys. There would never be police if there wasn't runaway slaves.
Correct.
That's how they got formed. Go get my property back. So at what point did we start to look at the people who are supposed to be catching us and bringing us back to the plantations with higher regard than my brother who was running for freedom with me, to my sisters who's supposed to be running for freedom with me?
What about black police?
Black police, I don't feel there's enough of them to really have a say. Okay. I feel that black police are kind of peppered in. They don't have a union and a force within. And the main reason why they don't have a union and a force within their own is because we don't put pressure when it comes to political time. We're so worried about the president, which is an international office. We're not concerned about who's our sheriff, who's our alderman, who's our county councilman. These are the people that can put things in place to make sure we have a black section of policing. Yeah. You know what I mean? We have to get involved on the local level of politics, but that involves something called work. Can't do that on this. You can't just scroll and say, rest in peace, George Floyd, get 100 likes and feel like you've done something. You got to get out. You have to make yourself known. You have to make your policies, what you want, the change known. So, yeah, I just, I feel that black people, we have a lot of work to do. I mean, we've taken so many steps back with hip hop. Hip hop as a culture has brought black people backwards, along with a couple other things, but mainly hip hop and this I'm just going to look out for me and my family. That's not how we rock and roll.
That's also, that's not just in hip hop. That seems to be a growing thing with everyone.
But it's the culture, and that's why hip hop culture is so big.
Yeah.
Hip hop culture preaches, I'm the best. Yeah. I'm the one.
Yeah.
How many rappers signed $1 million of deals didn't make anything? That's kind of what I can't remember. I think it was DJ Academics was talking about that. Yeah. Like, how are you guys signing these deals and you're not making something so the next dude don't come and get screwed?
Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking about you.
Yes.
You're thinking about you.
That's
Puffy,
right.
You're going to sign Biggie to that $60,000 contract and rape him for his publishing, aren't you? You're not going to teach him the game and set him up to win, aren't you? Suge, you're going to milk your death row artists, aren't you? You're going to do what's been done to the next instead of saying, and that's another thing, again, when I look at my Jewish brethren, because of their shared tragedy, they would never think to do that to each other. They would, if Jewish people had their hands on rap like black people do as far as being the talent, they would have been made a label. And they would have been had classes teaching. This is what royalties are. This is what publishing is. This is what an advance is. We're making sure we're getting you guys ready to go into this game that we're doing. We're not just going to send you out there. And that's what I feel. But this goes back to a mind state that's in black people. That was adopted with the birth. We're about to go down the hill, Jay.
Yeah, no, I'm just listening because I don't, you're making a lot of sense. The only thing that I want to ask you just before, I want you to keep going, but I don't think I've ever seen you this eloquently and calmly get your points across.
No, I'm
usually when you're saying shit like this, it's more aggressive and animated.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if maybe that's part of the reason why people are like, because the way you're presenting this right now,
palatable, very digestible.
Very palatable.
Yeah.
Is it because I'm white?
No, a little bit.
Okay.
But this is the version that white people like to see of the black man.
You're probably right.
They like to know that you're not going to spaz out and hurt anybody. The angry black man.
It's not Kanye-ish.
Yeah, it's not.
You're
But see, even Kanye.
Yeah.
How do we do that to Kanye when what he's speaking about is the truth? If Kanye was out here saying that there's pink lizards flying around in the air, you're losing it, Kanye. You know, you need to really, you need to take some medicine.
You're right.
But when Kanye says Jewish people are running the whole entire, and he's crazy.
Yeah, he's said some things that were offensive.
Mm-hmm.
That's not one of them.
What, the Jewish people?
Yeah, that's just true, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's just.
But that was
true shit.
But mixture with him and Kyrie Irving with the H2 whatever that book was, Hebrews to Negroes. Yep. They were kind of running that thing at the same time, showing that these brothers are, and black people were kind of Nori and a lot of man, and that's what we do.
What did Dave Chappelle say? Kanye talks so much shit that Kyrie got in trouble.
you see what I'm saying?
That was the realest shit
and that's how we really feel. Don't get me in trouble.
Yeah.
Don't get massa on me.
Yeah.
And you see that come up instead of black people bonding around Kanye and saying he's right.
Yeah.
What Kanye is saying is 100% right. Jewish and Italians have a headlock on the distribution game of hip hop. Mm-hmm. They run the labels. They do have a power over how we're presented. You know what I mean? So let's not act like they don't. Let's call them out and call them to the table. Why are you guys signing so many drill artists? Leor Cohen. Good Lord, 300 Entertainment. How many? And you're throwing up this and the labels with the Migos. How are you able to do this? But yet you call Kanye crazy. We look at you. You crazy. You signing a dude that just says he's going to shoot somebody's baby mama. He said he's going to follow your baby mama home and kill her. And he just got a record deal at 300 Entertainment. So that's kind of where we get a little bit like, hold on, Jewish people. How, and not only Jewish people, white people, how are we supposed to be as black people? We're angry. We are. We come from 500 years of slavery, you know, or not necessarily 500 years, actually about 100 years. But anyways.
Well, and the thing that we forget about because of white people, and this goes to my not liking white people point, by the way. Mm-hmm. White people keep saying that it's been longer. Every year, it's like they add 100 years to how long it's been since slavery. Like, it ain't been that long.
No, black people weren't in bondage that long. But that narrative goes along because it's about, like I said, it's about dehumanizing black people. If you feel that you've been in this country for, 1746, I think it was, so if 500 years you've been in bondage and slavery, you don't really have too much, what's the word? You don't really have too much ties to the country. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. This isn't really your country if you spent 500 years of it in bondage, right? Yep. But if you start to learn your history, then you learn we didn't spend 500 years in slavery. It was only about 100 years. Still a long time, but it was 100 years. Prior to that, we were getting into politics, which is how the KKK had to be birthed. All of the KKK and the hangings and the lynching happened because black people had amassed so much power in politics and real estate, Black Wall Street. We were building black towns. We were moving at such a rapid pace under Republican regime, because Republicans say, do it yourself, man. Yeah. You know, once we break the chains, you have to do it yourself. Yeah. Democrats say, well, we'll come up with programs and plans and we'll milk you out of all your money, and the programs and plans don't work. So when I'm looking at the history of our people, I'm like, man, hold on a second. Black people were mobilized, you know, and that's why we've digressed. I say hip hop knocked us back, because prior to hip hop, black people were marching in a certain direction. We did want to get these redlining issues dealt with. We did want to get discrimination dealt with. We were moving collectively as a people. We were trying to fortify our neighborhoods. But then you had this hip hop energy come in, and not necessarily just hip hop, but I would almost want to say the gangster element of hip hop. These are the people who are the outcasts. These are the outcasts. These aren't the normal people. Black, but you see how the narrative start to get changed to now when you hear a black person like me talking about, I'll call the police on somebody. I'm not no criminal. I got black people, my homeboys. Man, how can you say? Because I'm not a criminal, my G. I'm not a criminal. Yeah. I don't identify with criminals and breaking the law. I'm a law-abiding citizen, just like my ancestors were. Yeah. My ancestors weren't killing and robbing. They weren't. They were building. They were sharecroppers. They were trying to get their things done. And now in the 80s and the 90s, you have this birth of Bloods and Crips, and our leaders were not on the corners anymore to fight off that threat. And so now the Bloods and Crips, who were normally outcasts, got power. Especially you throw some drugs in there, now they got money. And now you have the outcasts of the black community, who are the criminals. Now they have the voice, because they're getting paid. This is a capitalistic society. So now if you got these rappers making money, they have the power to speak what they want to speak. and now you have NWA. How did that happen? Time out, man. Didn't nobody run that by nobody? You think you could come up with a Jewish rap group called Kingz with Attitudes and no Jewish person is going to say, excuse me, you can't call your group Kingz with Attitudes. You can't do that. But we came out with niggas with attitudes and nobody was able to put their hands on the NWA and say, wait a second, brothers.
Yeah,
you know, there's white boys that are going to be saying, who are you listening to? I'm listening to niggas with attitudes. Come on now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's have a little bit of accountability. But it showed. NWA actually showed not only us, but it showed America. It showed the investors in hip hop. Ain't nobody guarding that black culture. What used to be the revolutionary and Malcolm X and all of these things, you had to kind of get through a board, NAACP. You had to get through certain boards before you could just do things. It's gone. The drug dealers, the criminals, the thugs are their own bosses. They don't have to answer to no old black man tapping them or an old black woman tapping them on the shoulder. Hey, baby, can you chill that out? Shut up, old bitch. Get back in your house, cuz. Blood. Oh, this is the energy now. So, and as me, as a person who witnessed that and went through that and know what it is, I lost my best friend, Quincy Blue, to gang violence and betrayal from inner circles. Right? I've seen 3 of my homeboys get killed. I've been to California in the jungle and I had to make it out of there because I didn't understand the color code. I've been to Chicago and scratched my head a little bit like this and had advice, Lord, what you doing? Whoa, this gang shit is getting out of control, fam. Is anybody going to speak about this? So the old ladies can come outside and walk in their neighborhood so the kids can come outside and play? Nobody? But then that same group and then the same group that I would want to speak up stays quiet until George Floyd gets killed. George Floyd dies, or what's the dude that got beat up by the police officers? Rodney King. Mm-hmm. He gets beat up. Then we all come along for that second. But we don't stay at work. The issues in the black community, it's not a weekend thing. It's Monday through Sunday. Every day you need to be out in your communities. Every day you need to be setting the narrative. Every day you need to be holding people accountable that are shaping the narratives of your community. It's not just a once in a while thing. And I think that black people, we've gotten kind of lazy with our position. Our ancestors was every day fighting.
Lazy or tired?
I think lazy because what would we be tired from? My generation. My grandma, yeah, she's tired.
Okay.
Grandma tired. She been marching. I march with Dr. King every day. My feet tired, baby. Yeah. What you tired from? What you been doing all day? Playing PlayStation? Watching MTV raps? What are you doing that makes you tired? You're in the most prime position to do something.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fair.
That's all. So, but back to the point, I feel that because, like I said, so now you can kind of, okay, so you're against George Floyd. Okay, that's one strike.
But I don't hear that you're against George Floyd, though. That's not what I heard you say. I heard you're against some of the narrative behind his death.
No, I don't care that George Floyd died. It doesn't bother me at all.
Okay.
You know, his
Fair
death.
enough.
His death is no different for me than a mouse that died, because of the kind of person that he was when he passed. You have your birth date, you got your death date.
But we are not the things that we do, though. We're not we're not our mistakes.
When you die on them, you do. You don't have a chance to change them. That's that dash. You got your birth date, you got your death date, and you got that dash. That dash is what matters. So you can't be out here molesting kids, and then die and say, oh, one day I would have stopped molesting. You didn't when you died. You died a child molester. So guess what you are? Hitler probably could have been a great person if we'd have let him a little bit longer, right? If we'd have let Hitler get to, he might have changed and he could have did something.
I don't know.
But I'm saying, you see what I'm saying?
But let's not compare George Floyd to Hitler. I get your point, though.
No, I wouldn't compare him to Hitler.
I do get your point. I get what you're saying. You're right. The dash matters. You're right.
Yeah.
But I also know people that knew him personally that know that the mistakes that he made didn't define him. There was also a lot of good in there.
I think there's a little bit of good in every person. You can find some good in Hitler. You can find good in who's the guy, King Leopold, who was chopping off. I'm sure his family, he would come with presents and they would say he was a good guy. He came with some cake. You know, everybody, we're humans. You have but you still have to be judged about what are you doing. Yeah. And George Floyd.
But regardless, he didn't deserve to die.
No, he didn't deserve to die. But we all are
Whether
gonna.
You care or not.
But we all are gonna.
You're right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, you're right.
So that's why I'm saying that how we view life and death is, come on now, we are gonna die. So he had a chance. How old was he? Did he get a fair shot to do something positive with his life? Sure he did. Yeah. What is he doing in a car with 2 meth heads? Where was his daughter? You know what I mean? What kind of life was he? Now that he passed away, that's probably the best thing for his daughter. Now his daughter gets stock in Disney. And now her life can be changed. But can we say, what if George Floyd was alive? How would his daughter be doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
See what I'm saying?
I don't know, and I don't want to speak on it because I don't know.
Right. But I do know that I don't know, but police documents and records show that he did break into a black woman's house and hold a gun disguised as a cable guy.
That's tough. That's tough.
Now this is coming from a person who used to rob people. Like I say, we ain't even gotten to the real shit. Yeah, Simba Ali, I used to rob people.
So did I.
Yeah, I ran down Franklin with a bag full of pit bulls one time. I had a bag full of live pit bulls, just robbed the Native Americans. So I know about robbing. Yep. Okay, but one thing I could never do is put a gun. Nah, fam, I'm not no woman, man. Not no. If she's in there, we wait till she goes something. I'm not doing that. Kind of how Kane in the back of the car. I'm not killing no kids. Yeah. You have that change. There's a line I will not cross. Yep. But when you put that gun to that belly of that woman, you got to answer for that, man. Tough. You got to live with that. And you have to live with that. That's on my jacket. Yeah. I did that. Yeah. I got to live with that. Yeah. So if I don't get to remedy that, if I don't get to turn that around and at least put a different jacket or put a different narrative out there about myself, and I die, and the last thing closest that I did was rob some lady in Houston, should the world gather around me and turn me into a martyr, or should that just be my family's thing? Let my family deal with that. Yeah. But as far as everybody putting a statue, you can't drive down 38th and what is that, Chicago? Come on, bro. We don't even got that for Malcolm X, man.
That's a great point.
Yeah, no, I mean, we got real life people who should have statues and things like that where mom can say, well, what did he do, mom? Well, he did this for black people. Yep. Oh, I want to be like him. Yeah. What do I tell my son when he says, who's that? That's George Floyd. I want to be like George Floyd. No. You don't want to be like George Floyd, son. Okay, Dad, well, then why does he have a statue? If you can't point to that man and say, Dad, I want to be like him, and Dad says, yes, be like him, son. He was a great man.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have a single good argument against what you're saying.
It's tough, man.
So I'm not going to argue. I'm just going to let you get your shit off and say you're valid. I mean, it's valid.
Yeah,
what you're saying is valid.
Yeah.
So moving on from that, let's talk. So I assume that a lot of the stuff that you've said over the past 15, 20 minutes, is that why you stepped away from hip hop? I mean, you're still in hip hop, but you know what I'm saying?
No, I stepped away from hip hop because I started to get older, and I'm a person that my hip hop creativity comes from my experiences. And as I got older, I didn't make the transition to the next.
You don't want to rap about being a law-abiding citizen.
I don't want to rap about going to work every day and that kind of stuff. That doesn't fuel, my kind of inspiration. So I kind of just fell back from music, and also to be honest with you, the incarceration of my friend Street Kingz when they got locked up, when Quincy got killed. Yep. Quincy was the person where I would write a rhyme and I would call him and say, listen to this, man. Yeah. And he would write back. It was the competition thing. We kind of drove each other. Yep. So I got Quincy dead. I got Brinks and DB doing 25 years. Like, I'm kind of losing the mojo to do this, you know what I'm saying? I don't have that anymore, you know? And when success might have helped, if I could have signed like a deal or something, okay, I got money, I found it a little bit, I can do it again. But to be struggling after going through that and being so close, like everybody was saying, man, y'all finna do it. Street Kingz, man, y'all finna do it. You know,
I mean, people still talk about it.
They still talk about that to this day.
So give me a little bit of your history with Street Kingz. And you were there.
I was there. But not just Street Kingz. I seen hip hop form in Minnesota
with rhymesayers.
With rhymesayers from Cancer. I remember hip hop when there was no hip hop in Minnesota. It was just DMG. Yeah. Everybody used to say DMG got signed by Scarface. That was all we had. Yeah. There was no rap shows. I am the first rap show. The first time Red Sea did rap was for my CD release party, My Dope's My Music. Wow. Then it turned into what it turned into. I formulated Cancer in Zach's house. Me, Atoro, Zach, he goes by New, Unicus, and Mesh. We did Cancer. At that time, I think maybe Atmosphere might have been on his very, very first album. Yep. So he wasn't even known like that yet. And we kind of rocked for a minute, did the Cancer thing, but they were too backpacky for me. It was like every time we would get in kind of a studio, our vibes was different. Yep. Me and Quincy are out here selling weed on Cedar Ave, running from police, fighting with the new GDs that are coming in at Skyway, living this real kind of authentic black experience life. But then we would come over with our white friends, and they would kind of backpack it and the intergalactic moon and the stars and the quasars and bro, come on, man. I'm talking about guns, double rap, sack of crack, get my dick sucked by a crackhead. Yeah. So then we kind of veered off. Yeah. And what they did was they started that interlock and they started that whole thing, Bon Appetit. Yep. They started doing that, and they started to build that. And while me and Quincy, we started to go off on our other direction. And that's when Street Kingz kind of started to form. We were like, we want to build a more street honest version about the black experience. Because we seen them guys like, y'all fucking with, y'all out there with the white girls and the white people and y'all doing that. That's cool. That's one half of it. But there's another half of Minnesota, Mr. Mayhem. You know what I'm saying? Gun range. There's things that are going on here that don't have a voice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that a lot of people don't know that set the tone for hip hop in Minnesota. Was the white people set the tone for hip hop in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we are where we are.
Yes.
Personally, that's what I believe. It took me a while to understand that, but I slowly started to realize, like, all of the guys that we see elevate are white guys.
Right.
And they're not even close to the most talented.
No.
So what the fuck is going on here? I
mean, Brother Ali's from Wisconsin, and we kind of promoted him, like he was a homegrown talent here. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro's from Wisconsin. And even, I think the narrative was run like, he's biracial. Shut up. Stop.
He's whiter than me.
Stop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but that whole fight we got to see how, doors are opening up for these backpacker and these interlock groups. We see radio stations. Like, I would hear Sluggo's record on the radio. I was an intern at B96 when they first started with Angelina Queen B Right, Big Time.
Those are the days.
Yeah, I was in there. Like, I think 50 Cent had just dropped Candy Shop. He had just dropped Candy Shop, and I was in there, and so I got to see, like, wait, you guys are playing these rhyme sayers, dudes. But then when we come with music and say, hey, will you play our record? No, do a drop. Do a drop for B96. Like, man, I don't want to rap about how people should listen to B96. Play my fucking record, man. You know what I'm saying? You're playing Idea. You're playing these guys' records and giving them their fair chance. Why is it that this street element is kind of being shunned away? And you could feel, like you said, the narrative was, we want this hip-hop in Minnesota to be more white, and not just as far as skin color, experience. The experience of... So what you have is a lot of people who are connecting to hip-hop through being poor. But that's not hip-hop. Hip-hop is a black experience. The culture of hip-hop was birthed from the black experience. The descendants of people who came at a certain time and said, we want to graffiti, we want to express ourselves, we're going to talk, we're going to challenge, we're going to fight the power. That's what hip-hop was born from. Being poor is about 25% of it. Being black is the other 75%. So I seen that hip hop here was kind of being formed and formulated so it can be digested for white people. And that kind of bothered me. So like on my first album, I dissed rhyme sayers. I was fuck the rhyme sayers, motherfuckers, punk ass. And so we kind of had that thing. Even my friend B.C, we went to Bon Appetit. He battled Idea and he lost.
I'm not surprised. Idea was a monster.
He was a fucking monster.
I can't stand him.
And that's when we learned, like, no, this dude's a monster. And what's crazy about B.C is I remember we wanted to fight after because he was talking about Quincy's mom and he was saying stuff that was personal. This was when we were really understanding what battle rap was. Quincy wasn't a battle rapper. Quincy was a lyricist, but he understood the culture of battle rap and he wanted to engage. So when Idea got the best of him at Bon Appetit, we was like, Quincy, let's tear it up. And he was like, nah, bro. He was like, nah, this is the culture. You know what I'm saying? I lost. I'm taking my L like a man. I'll go back and I'll come back harder. You know what I mean? And ever since then, Quincy always had a healthy respect for Idea. Whenever they would see each other, Idea, hey, what up, Q? What up, man? What up? You know, until his passing. So there was always a little bit of, we had that respect for them, but we wanted to showcase what it was like to be black in Minnesota. This is the black experience. Like when you go places, man, I didn't even know there was black people in Minnesota. You hear that so much, and we wanted to change that.
We just had Minnesota Cold in here earlier today.
Really?
And he said that he believes Minnesota is, as far as like the crime rate, murder rate, that we're far worse off than Chicago.
Per capita.
That's exactly what and he had real numbers to back it up. And I was blown away as to how, like, who created this narrative? Like, where did this narrative come from then? Because even like, I was around when it was the murder station, the murder station right on Broadway. Everybody knew at that spot.
The murder station.
Yes, I used to be at the murder station. It was like,
and it got its name honestly.
Quite honestly. Yes.
So that goes back to
goes down over there.
It still goes. I still go to the next gas station. Absolutely. Man, I'm not stopping there, man. I'm not finna lose my life over $12 worth of gas
at all.
But that's as you can see, and because we didn't have the stars to come and kind of bring the baton back. everybody has to sit and wait for Sluggo to come around and get on the feature. Everybody has to wait for these rhyme sayer dudes to kind of pull us in, but the gap is so wide. Sluggo ain't rolling around over Northside Minneapolis.
All they did was pull profit.
Yeah, another, you know what I'm saying? Another, that's what I'm saying. They never reached back and kind of, okay, you guys are the backpack rappers, but shine some light on the Street Kings.
For real.
Shine some light on Mr. Mayhem.
Yep.
So your fans are aware of, and other people who might be listening to you, even from out of state, can be like, oh, that is another side of the coin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that my biggest beef was with the promotion of Atmosphere, Sluggo, and Rhyme Sayers, was it felt like they were giving credit and credence and value to guys who weren't going to give that baton back to the city. No. You know, you never really could see Sluggo outside, chilling where you could talk to him and get a feature from him. You know what I'm saying?
And doing things like blackballing Minnesota Fats.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Going out of their way to say, no, we can't have him perform at Soundset.
You see?
And I only say that because that's what he says. I don't know if that's actually true or not,
right.
But I have to take him on his word. Like, he sat in an interview with me and said, Atmosphere said, no.
Right.
We're not putting Minnesota Fats on the stage. He's too
street. Yeah. And that's the lingo.
problem.
And they went with it. And I think that's why people started to get a little bit more upset at Atmospheres, because they also went with it.
Yeah.
They didn't say, whoa. You know, I know we the white dudes on the block and whatever, but man, you really need to check out these dudes. You got Soundset, so you can have street rappers on there, because I saw Future up there. I see street rappers up there. I see Gucci. Man. You see these street rappers up there, but we can't represent our streets.
Just the last one had DMX.
See what I'm saying? Come on, my guy. And how did you get that power like that, where you can have a sound? That takes a lot of red tape to cut, bro.
Yeah.
To get a festival like that, what political connections what power are you having?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you have that power, why are you not using it to open the doors for the next generation? You ain't gonna rap forever, bro. Make sure them next generations of dudes who are coming after you have a voice and have a platform.
Bro, imagine if I only interviewed safe rappers up here. I probably would have gotten shot by now.
Yeah.
Something would have happened to me.
And you still get a lot of hate.
And I still get it.
You still get a lot of hate,
I
bro.
still get the hate. Imagine if I was up here doing the Atmosphere shit and only
Right.
interviewing safe black artists and white rappers.
That would be the narrative.
So
And then
for me personally, it's fuck rhyme sayers. They hurt our music scene.
They did. They hurt
really
us a
did.
lot. They did.
It may not have been on purpose on the way, but they
were conscious of it.
They were conscious of it.
They were conscious of what's going on.
I'm not mad at them for their success.
Not at all.
Good for you.
Right.
Good
And I
for
still
y'all.
say them. Like, when I'm out places, they be like, oh, who y'all? Rhyme sayers. You know what I'm
That's
saying? Oh, okay. Yeah,
That's
man.
it.
We got some motherfuckers out there. So
Yeah.
I don't knock them like that. I'm just saying that I don't think that they did a good job of passing the
They did
baton.
not. They did not.
You know, and opening the door for the next artist. So that was it. So, but even when, like I said, when I was coming out with my first album, My Dope's My Music, I was dealing with that. We dropped the first CD, and then we started to perform at Red Sea and kind of turn Red Sea into the hub where people are like, man, you can always perform at the Red Sea. That happened because we had an African gentleman that invested in my CD who went and talked to them and said, hey, we want to do the CD release party here. You know, no drinks. We'll make sure no fights happen. He's the one that was put on the lease as far as like liable for if any of these kids mess up our stuff, you're on the hook. So... And ever since then, after we did that successfully, then we started to do more shows. And then people said, oh, you can do the Red Sea. And then they start taking in more people in the Red Sea. So our goal was to turn the Red Sea into what we seen Bon Appetit was for Rhyme Sayers and those guys, because they had it on a smash.
Yeah.
When they go to Bon Appetit, it was like that's their club. I'm from the West Bank. That's the area that I moved to from North Minneapolis. So it's right down the street from my house. So we turned that into our hub. And then, so now I'm dropping music. And there's kind of like this split. I can actually see the split where it's like, okay, us street rappers were over here, and I can see them over there.
Yep.
And I couldn't really get to that next level. It was almost like, it's like they were blocking me, but like you said, not on purpose, but just their inability to say, hey, man, this dude right here, you guys know who I am. You guys know that we know each other. We rapped in the same studios. We bumped into each other going to studios. Hey, what's up, Slug? What up, Ant? What up, Sadiq? What up? You know, we see each other.
Yeah.
So that I kind of got a little bit frustrated. And then I dropped actually one of my best albums called About Face, which is probably people say this is your best album, Simba or Monk. That was my name. But that album got the attention of Twig and DB, who are from Chicago. They was like, we used to ride around listening to that all the time. Like, man, bro is dope. You know what I'm saying? So that's how Street Kings got formulated. From my Chicago partners who came to South High, because we was in South High, And then again, we seen the influx of the Chicago people come. I remember being able to wear your hat like this in Minnesota and nobody would bother you.
Yeah.
And then I remember when I got punched in the eye at the Skyway by some vice lords. They're like, "You GD?" I was like, "What?" Because I had a Georgetown hat on like this. You know what I mean? And then I started seeing more about these are the Chicago people. They coming up here now. And also then in school, when I go to school, oh yeah, there they go, Chi-Town. You know what I'm saying? You can see. And so we kind of rock, and that's what I mean, this whole thing that was going on, this culture, DJ boogie parties. Like if you ain't never been to a DJ boogie party or a Circle of Discipline party when it's doop, 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 and the girls is popping and doop, 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 you know what I'm saying? And then gunshots get to happening, and it was just a whole experience that we were experiencing together about being black. And this new wave of people that were coming from Chicago bringing their culture, bringing their gangster disciple culture, bringing their vice lord culture, bringing their BD culture. So these guys became my friends. I'm like, oh, they're like, yeah, we rock, we going to football games, and they're like, yo, let's do this music, And Twig, he's one of the most savvy, money-getting people. Never seen him sell drugs. Never seen Twig sell a second of drugs, a basket of drugs. Never. He was just a money-getting dude. What he actually had, he's had an African dude who was making fake Air Force Ones. He was making the fake low-top white Air Force Ones. You probably did. You probably did. Yeah. And so he found that plug, and he was able to do that. But he had a lot of things like that. He would find like little loopholes and things, and he would just make money. So, and his brother Fred was like a super business savvy dude. He went to DePaul College for business.
That's cool.
Yeah, so he came out and he was able to he bought that. So if you really want to know what happened with Street Kingz, when Twig and his brother Fred Spencer bought that building where 89.9 is now, 89.9 since they're now, we had that. That was Harold's Chicken Shack.
It was?
Yes. That was Harold's Chicken Shack. They brought Harold's Chicken Shack, a Chicago place, to Minnesota, right on North Side Minneapolis. And now we had this whole thing where like everybody, I swear, because I worked there. And this is another reason why I was just so enamored and took back when they convicted. And you got to think, Twig has been sitting in jail for 25 years, wrongfully, unjustly sitting in prison because people testified that were running around with us doing rap. They were like, yeah, he's selling all these drugs. So he's been sitting. But I remember when I wanted to get in the game, and Twig told me, don't do that, fam. I gotta, we got Harold's. Come work in the chicken shack. Come bust this, come cook this chicken. Don't waste your life fucking selling drugs. You a rapper. You can do something with your life. So I used to work at Harold's Chicken Shack, and it would just be, it seemed like everybody from North Minneapolis was there. Like when I would come to work, like it'd be full from the stop sign to, just cars. It was just like this whole, it felt like this Harlem thing, like black things was happening. You know what I'm saying? That couldn't happen anywhere else. It was happening right there. And so that is actually the reason that destroyed Street Kingz.
Wow.
Us buying that building, the black Christian churches, the black well-to-do people in the neighborhood, they wanted that building. It's prime real estate. So even the people at 89.9 wanted our building. And so they used the fact that we had a lot of street shit going on. When you come from where we come from, we don't grow up around lawyers. We don't grow up.
It's too much riffraff over there.
Too much riffraff over there. But they started to tell the police about us. Yep. And they got that light shined on us. And that, so now you got people, like I said, we don't grow up around doctors. We don't grow up around lawyers.
I don't like white people, that's what I'm talking about. Y'all gotta relax.
But now this is the bad part, Jake. It wasn't the white people that did this. This was the black people. This was our own people.
Fair enough.
That did this and said that.
But usually it's the whites.
Yeah, it's usually.
So when I say I don't mean white people like I'm white. I don't mean Caucasian people. I'm talking about the whites. Like you put an H in front of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whites. That's what I'm talking about.
But that kind of derailed it. So like I said, this whole history that I've kind of been able to do in Minnesota, I've watched it grow from nothing. Yeah. From there was no rap at all. There was nobody that we could point to and say, oh yeah, they did it like this, we're gonna follow them. Yep. We had to jump out and be the first pioneers. Till, like I said, I did my second album, and then around my third album I linked up with the guys and we did the Street Kingz. Yep. Now that was big because we got a Big Mike mixtape out of that. Yep. We got a one of Eminem's DJs hosted our mixtape.
So Green Lantern?
It wasn't Green Lantern. What was it? What is his name, man? God, is it Sean Mack? I can't remember the guy's name. But we were doing a lot of mixtapes at that point. Like I said, Big Mike. We were just kind of doing whatever we could do.
Era.
That was the mixtape era. So we were making a lot of headway when it goes to that. And then, like I said, the things happened with first my guys getting incarcerated unjustly, and then the murder of Quincy, which is my best friend. So like I said, that kind of detoured. Not to mention, like I said, I was getting a little bit older.
How could it not?
Yeah, it kind of detoured me from saying, all right, let me get back in there and do this again.
Yeah.
But I'm a creative person. So I had to find a creative outlet. And that's where the podcasting thing came in. I think I went on these guys named Local Celebrities.
Yep,
the Local Celebrity Podcast.
That was Beasley and
Yep. Is it D? Is it
you say his name? I'm gonna remember
Deezy?
it.
What's my man's name?
Beasley and
the big brother.
Yes.
Come on, man. I'm seeing him in my face.
Cut the crap.
Cut the
That's it.
crap.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Come on, man. I'm sorry, by the way, but you know who we talking about,
Yeah.
fam. But
I
he
used to listen to that every week.
he had me on his show,
Yep.
and I went in there and did his podcast.
I listened to yours. I bet I did.
You probably did.
If you were on there, I bet I listened.
Yeah, you probably did. And I was like, damn, this is all you do? You can sit here and talk and, people listen and
Yeah.
shit? And he kind of schooled me.
David
like, yeah.
Powell.
David Powell. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Good job.
So,
goddamn.
okay. So
Do you smoke weed?
sometimes.
Shit. You
Yeah.
got a good memory.
Sometimes. So I want to wrap because I want to make sure people watch this in its entirety.
Mhm.
But before we do, real quick, the media wars. What makes you think that you're number one versus myself?
What would make me number one? Like I said, what I do, the fact that I'm not relying on guests, the numbers that I'm able to accumulate while not having guests.
Yep.
And also, like I said, I think the guests that I do happen to get, you know what I mean? Like Charleston White. That's
I'm gonna smoke you in guests though.
maybe as far as numbers, but not as far as value. All your guests in one thing, I don't know if they add up to one Charleston White.
I got one interview that blows your Charleston White out.
Who?
Busy Bone.
Okay.
Busy Bone and his son, Lil
Okay.
Busy.
Okay, Jake. Okay, Jake. Okay, Jake.
I got a quarter.
Okay,
I got a quarter mil on that one.
Yeah, okay. I didn't now see. There you go.
See?
Ignorance is bliss.
Yep.
And no
Quarter mil on
excuse.
that. I got Redman too.
You got Redman?
Yes, sir.
On Live on Lake Street, or was that with the Wiseman?
Wiseman show.
The Wiseman. Okay.
So if you want to say live on Lake Street, that's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah. But not Jake.
Not Jake.
Okay.
Not
Talk
Jake.
your shit,
Not
Jake.
Jake the entity.
Talk your shit,
I
Jake.
got you there. I got you there. But either way, I like the competitive nature.
Yes.
And I think sometimes with some of them other platforms, it gets too personal.
It does.
I don't
What's
like
going
that.
on with you and Wayne and Say No More?
Nothing really. There's nothing really.
That's your voice on his hook, ain't it?
It is.
So I don't
You'd
know.
have to ask him because I don't have any real problems with him. The only problem that I have with him is the interview that he did with you, and he mentioned my wife.
He mentioned your wife.
Yes. He said something about when his girl left him, he was suicidal,
Ah.
which is cap.
Okay.
I don't like
do
that.
remember that.
I didn't like that.
Okay.
That's the only thing he said that I don't actually
That
like,
really
I
was
have
like,
actual-
all right,
that I
bro.
have an actual issue with.
Okay.
Don't talk about my wife. That's not my girl, bro. It's my wife. We got 4 kids.
Right.
Don't you? Especially coming from a guy that don't.
Now,
have a
do
wife
you
or kids.
think that you and him could sit down and have a
Absolutely.
conversation?
I've asked him. Yes.
Okay.
It will happen.
Okay.
It will happen.
Now you understand that a little bit of that is the same thing we were talking about how it feels like Minnesota wants to make things white.
Yeah.
And I feel that might be where, I'm not speaking for Wayne, but I feel like he has a little bit of that, like, damn, bro, you know what I'm saying? Why is they putting this white all the time? Why can't we have our own culture?
It's
you know what I mean?
understood.
And it's a little bit of, well, let me try to, what's the word that I want to use? Let me try to push homie, my man, out the way and show him that there is other media platforms, that it's just not like, no, it's Jake Faircloth because there's nobody else doing it.
Yeah.
No. We're doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you guys are going to give it to Jake Faircloth, you guys are just giving it to him for whatever reason. But don't say there's no other podcast.
I mean, give it to me. If I'm not, I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I'm valid. I'm good. I don't need to be the face of anything. I don't need to be number one. I'm gonna talk my shit like everybody else, but this is my career. This is what I love. I know I'm at where I'm supposed to be.
You are.
So you're not gonna talk me out of my chair or off my mic. So don't. You can say what you want. It's fine.
No, you do a great job, Jay. And for what you do though, but you have to know that you're gonna get the.
Of course.
You're gonna get the hate
Love
that
it.
you're gonna get.
It does not bother me.
Okay. Good.
It does not bother me.
Good.
I know where I'm at. It's
Yeah.
okay with me. It is. Like I said, the only thing that Wayne's actually said that actually truly bothered me was that. And it wasn't enough for me to like hate him.
Did you hear when I said never trust white dudes with beards?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
White guys with
And
beards.
that's true. Don't trust me. Nah, I'm just kidding.
But you see, you got a little bit of what Adam has going on.
Yep.
You know, I wouldn't necessarily say Vlad because Vlad is a He's an unbiased person.
Yep.
You know, he'll give anybody a shot. You don't have to be a drill rapper to get on
do I.
Vlad. Right. But with Adam 22, it almost feels like he's picking the low-hanging fruit all the time. Like you won't see a revolutionary kind of rapper on Adam 22.
Yeah.
Right. And so I feel like with you get a little bit of that heat too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're getting like, oh, you can only do, you know, rappers. You know what I'm saying? That's all you can do, Jay. You can just try to pick off the rap tree. You're trying to pick these ignorant.
That's cap though. That's because they don't watch all the episodes.
True.
Live on Lake Street has dropped 200.
As I can see, Prince, he was on the show shouting out, and you're like, "Bam, did you even look at this? Did you even watch it?" No. Shout out to this person and shout out to this one. Like, bro, what is going on?
Yeah.
You know. But a lot of it though, Jake, I just want to say, you're doing a great job on Live on Lake Street.
It.
I think Live on Lake Street is an important pillar as far as media here. Like, you guys offer a service to, where else are they going to get to speak? How else are these people going to get to tell their stories if you guys don't give them the platform to do it? So on one hand, like I said, I just want to say, of course, it's the competition. You know, I think come on, let's go. I think I'm better. But honestly, if I'm being real, you guys have a great platform.
I appreciate it.
You're a great host.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And all your guests, all your interviews are great. When I watch them, I'm like, man, I wouldn't even have cared about this dude. Yeah. Now I find myself looking for his music and shit. All right, who was this? You know what I'm saying? Because I watched the interview with you. So
that's what
just like I say, take the hate.
Of course.
Just like I do. I know people are gonna throw the hate at me, and I take it, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But just know that, like you said, don't let nobody talk you out your spot. Definitely. You're doing what you got to do.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate your time, and you keep going, and let's stay competitive and invite me on your platform too.
No doubt. Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do that so we can continue.
For sure. Tell them where to find everything, all of your shit.
Check me out, Simba Ali, the number 5, IMBA_Ali. You can check me out there on all my social media platforms. If you go to YouTube, if you want to check out my page, you can just type in Simba Ali or the North Star Podcast. Any one of those on YouTube, and it's going to come up. And also, don't forget, you guys, get at me about these Revel wears because, like I said, I design clothes. All these are my art. This is my art, you know? I look at the back. The shit's dope. Got a whole bunch of shit. You can start conversations with my clothes. My clothing line, start conversations. So, yeah, Simba Ali. I got Revel wear, and I got the food show on YouTube called Me Against the World, where I'm going to food places around Minnesota, eating, and kind of just doing my thing. So, I'm out here.
Dope. Everybody go check them out. Appreciate your time, man.
Appreciate you too, man.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it.
All right, man. That's it. Minnesota's #1 daily show, Live on Lake Street. I'm Jake Faircloth. Follow me everywhere at Jake Faircloth1.
It ain't that I can't stop, it's that I won't stop. I made a few plays off a flip, now I'm on top. I'm Southside Chief, homie. Yeah. What you know about it? Lake Street legend CEO, not the co-founder. What you wanna know about me? I'm so cursed up. I'm the last man standing, but I went first up. Most hated, they don't say it when I roll up. The things that people say about me, they don't say close up. Check it.